Well, we planted a week ago, and it's been a rough spring with rain, nonstop rain, and got a new planter this year. And we've this clay, this soil. I don't know if we discussed this or not, but this soil is gumbo. It is clay, so it holds water, which is great for the pool, but it also does not let water pass through it. So, as you can see, we had a 2-inch rain last night. Again, just about a week after we planted, and look what we got. We got a mess. We've got this water control structure over here draining water as fast as it possibly can. I hope it's off by the end of the weekend and the crops are salvageable, but I mean, just like that. We were sitting pretty last night. They weren't calling for any rain. We got 2 inches overnight, and this is what we're left with. So it's really between weather and God, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of luck that goes into this, but this just shows you how everything does not go as planned and is not as perfect as the original video of the 203 went. So,
all right, we are here at the 203. It's been about a week and a half since we planted corn and the rest of the beans. Right after we planted it, we had approximately 3 inches of rain, and the whole south end of this field was flooded, and there was a lot of standing water even on the north end. We'll have to come in and patch some beans, but digging around, the corn's just rotten. It never got sprouted, never got going, and that's just the hand we got dealt. It's been a tough spring. Just, it seems like it's rained every 3 days. Wasn't able to get in the field for a long time, and once we did, it seems like we only had a day to get it done, so we ran hard and late. But hopefully this corn will take off and keep on it going. We get a little drier summer and keep from drowning any more out. All right, here we are at the original Kings Bend clubhouse. This is different from the 203. We're gonna try to go back here and plant some sunflowers today. Yep, we're out here. It's June 12th, getting ready to replant a few beans where it flooded out. It's been right at a month since we went in and planted corn the first time. Got rained out about halfway through the first round of corn planting. Took a week and a half to dry out, and then we came back, finished corn, switched the planter over to beans, and knocked out the rest of the beans here at the 203. And as luck would have it, about 3 days later, we had 3 inches of rain, flooded probably a good half of the field, and we had some pretty bad germination issues, and so that's why we're back out here. But we got a little shorter maturity bean, so it should ripen up just with the rest of them. So then after we get the beans replanted, come out with the little 4-row 7,000 planter, and we'll patch in a little bit of corn, but not too worried about that at the moment.
we're out here at Kings Bend Farm, specifically at the 203, and it is July 4th weekend. The weather's gorgeous. It's been raining off and on the last few weeks. I think it's been keeping the temperatures down, but it's tons of rain, no rain, everything in between. So we've planted and then replanted, and getting pretty good lay of the land of where we pool naturally in this field, and then where we've actually gouged, or dirt work has gouged and created pooling. So planting, fertilizing, spraying, all that stuff is done. It's basically pretty much a waiting game. Fingers crossed the weather holds tight yeah, we're excited to see how this pans out. We'll turn the water on in October. We'll harvest the beans, turn the water on early October, and flood it up, and then give it another go this year with the new blinds. And we're going to traverse boats. And then hopefully January, February, once things dry out or freeze up, we'll come back in and we'll smooth off everything. We'll make deeper runs for boats and plane off more of the pooled up ground to be able to plant more crop. I'm out in our wetland track here over by the house. It's a 100-acre piece, and it's divided into a west side and an east side and a drainage ditch with mature willows and cottonwoods between it. But we control the water in both of these pools to help promote the growth of two main species, one being the grasses, which provide millet, and then smartweed, which provide a headed seed such as this. And in order to do this, the main piece of manipulation is through water control. So we have water control structures in each pool, and we control the drain down process. And typically the earlier you drain off water, the more smartweed you'll get, and the later you drain off the water, the more grasses you'll get. So in years past, we've pulled all the boards very, very late, so July, August, and we've had great grass stands in here. This year we came in and started pulling boards around May. We pulled a couple boards right off the bat, and then we waited about a couple months and we started pulling more boards. So we have a very, very diverse wetland out here right now. I'm pretty thrilled with it. We've got lots of smartweed, we've got lots of grasses, millets, and then we've been fighting spike rush. So we came in, sprayed, we mowed, and then we planted select areas of a 72-day corn, which is a fast maturation corn. So typical corn in this bottom's mature in 108 days. We bought some corn out of North Dakota that matures in 72. So it is mid-July, corn in this pool is out of the ground, and we should have a good ear on by the time we flood for teal, which would be middle of August. So hopefully everything times right. It's looking great. And we'll just show you around different plants and different trees and show you what we do. So this is it. This is the spike rush I've been mentioning. We've got a low spot here. This is kind of a semi-perm or semi-permanent place where we hold some water. And you can see it's bad through here. It's thick. It's cut out all the grass, all the broadleaf. So the next step for us here is get some Roundup back here as fast as possible and hit it. And it should all die off, and we should see a great stand of grass come up from underneath it. But this is the enemy. This is spike rush. So these are the two target species. This is barnyard grass or wild millet, and this is Pennsylvania smartweed. These are the two we are trying to promote here and basically have basically a harmonious relationship between these two to give us some diversity and food for the ducks. But that slow drawdown period, slow drawdown, late drawdown is what you get with this grass, and early drawdown you tend to get more of this. So we try to manage it so we get a mix of both. But you can see throughout here grasses and Pennsylvania smartweed mixed throughout. So diversity in a wetland is important, and people talk about it all the time, but I don't really know that they mention why. Diversity, well, ducks during different times of year have different diets and different needs. Corn, for instance, high fat, high energy, really cold days, they're in that corn, they're trying to get calories. And, we want a food pyramid, so to speak. So we don't necessarily want one thing. We don't want just corn, because a duck can't survive off of just corn. We've got our millet, we've got our smartweed, we have some corn mixed in, and then our early mowings and water and the foliage that drops in will encourage invertebrate habitat and invertebrate growth, and we've got basically the entire pyramid in this pool. So we've got good duck hunting from teal season all the way through the end of the year. So despite popular belief, at least in this area, ducks love trees, and they love it for multiple reasons. They love it for predator coverage, aerial coverage from above, eagles, hawks, anything that might attack them, even owls. They can hide underneath the brush. And then thermal coverage or thermocline, which allows them to hide in buckbrush or oaks or willows or whatnot and actually retain their body temperature. So they can actually conserve calories, conserve energy by actually sleeping in cover as opposed to open water. But we've come in and we've planted clusters of oaks. We've got them spotting throughout. These were, I think, 10 foot tall. I'm probably getting closer to 12. We planted them a couple years ago, and like it or not, you have some loss or attrition in these planted trees, but hopefully in 20, 30 years, or wherever it may be, we've got some grand oaks down here, and they're working for ducks. Yeah, so we're out in our 4-acre sunflower plot. This is right off the house. You know, there's something to be said about having a sunflower field close to your house because it keeps the deer out of it. We've got two starkly different fields going right now. We've got one in the back. Everything's mowed tight from the deer. We've got this one which doesn't look like much of anything's been eating on it. We had some of our pollinating buddies up here with us a second ago, but bees and everything throughout. We planted this field 3 different times. It's kind of like the name of the season is replant this year. But we've got varying heights. We've got some flowering. We've got some, you know, a foot tall. But the one thing we did different this year is we actually ran 16 rows of corn down the middle of the field. So we've got sunflowers, corn, and then sunflowers. And our intent is to spray and mow the sunflowers for dove. And then we plan to hide in the corn. So should have, you know, what, 25 yards on each side. Should be great. The doves love to come down this tree line, and when we've had fields here in the past, they've been productive. But just a struggle as usual this year, but I think it's going to be enough for the doves. So behind me we have enemy number 1. This is phragmites. It is highly invasive. I think it's taken over most of the Great Lakes or the banks there. Posey mentioned the Great Salt Lakes, but we've mowed tight around this. Next plan's to come in with some very strong herbicides. I'm going to consult MDC, Missouri Department of Conservation, on spray and process for elimination. So I would imagine we spray, we burn, and then we disc under to hopefully eliminate the growth of this piece. But highly invasive. I would imagine this got here by way of bird, whether it carried it on its wing or it defecated here and came up. I just showed up from the warehouse in shorts and flip-flops and saw Levi out spreading. What are you spreading out there?
Spreading some treated urea, nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
Yep.
We're putting it on that quick corn we got planted, hopefully to accelerate it and give it a big ear, right?
Yep, that's the plan. We're putting on 150 pounds of nitrogen per acre. The rule of thumb is 1 pound per bushel of corn. So we're aiming for 150 bushel corn out here, and that'd be plenty for the ducks.
Sounds like a plan. Let's see you do it.
Yep.
We're out here in the wetland, and a couple weeks after we sprayed this this group of phragmites dead, and we're going to come out. We're going to disc a ring around it, a fire break around it right now, and we're going to torch it. So should be pretty cool to watch. I hope it gets rid of these things for a while. About 3 weeks from dove season, and teal will follow up very shortly after that. We're going to spray some sunflowers, we're going to mow, we're going to put water on, but we've got some more habitat build coming your way, so stay tuned.